The topic which we are going to cover today is TestNG tutorials. Okay, so most of the things in Selenium are already done for this batch. Couple of scenarios which are not very important, not even for interview purpose, not for project also. Those are left that I'll take later on. Okay, and one of the topic which was left for Selenium, that is verification and validation, and I would like to teach that topic, especially this validation and verification, along with TestNG, because they make more sense uh, when we'll create certain test cases and then test it. Okay, so that's what our plan is, and this TestNG will take almost 2 classes. If another class will be required, we'll see. Otherwise, today or tomorrow, we'll try to complete all the topics from TestNG. This TestNG is let's start with what is TestNG and why we need it. Okay, so TestNG stands for Test Next Generation. It is a testing framework specially designed for unit testing. It's a tool inspired by JUnit. I'm not sure how many of you have heard of this JUnit, but this is one which is used by Java developers a lot for their unit testing. So TestNG was also designed for unit testing, but we automation engineer hijacked that feature of writing test cases to write our functional test cases. So you can say it can be used by developers to write unit tests or by testers to write their automation test cases. Now, if we compare it with JUnit, there are certain features which are not available in JUnit but are there in TestNG. That's why we are learning TestNG. And another point, if you know TestNG, then you can anytime learn JUnit on your own. They're very easy. So if I do a comparison between TestNG and JUnit, these are certain parameters on which TestNG has more features. Like if I talk about annotation supports, so that is there in both. The only thing is TestNG has many more annotation as compared to JUnit, which I'll show you as well. Then exception testing is there in both. Ignoring of test case is there in both. Timeout testing is there in both. Creating test suite is there in both. But grouping test cases, parameterization, and dependency testing is something which is there in TestNG but is not there in JUnit. So if I talk about what is grouping of test cases, grouping of test cases means clubbing multiple test cases together. So for example, uh, you started creating automation and the count of test cases reached 1000 test case. Now every time you cannot run all the test cases. Okay, say for example, you want only sanity scenarios to be executed at a time, or maybe only feature one you want to execute at a time. Then how do you do? So in that case, this TestNG provides us a way to create groups from multiple classes, and those groups you can call as sanity. So out of 1000, let's say only 40 scenarios are there, which is a part of sanity. So you can assign a group to called sanity to those 40 test case, and then you can execute only sanity scenarios. So that's one feature which is given by TestNG to us. Then parameterization is possible in TestNG. Parameterization means testing a particular scenario, a particular test case with multiple parameters. So that is there in TestNG but not there in JUnit. Then there is known as something known as dependency testing. That is again not there in JUnit but is there in TestNG. Dependency testing is like if a particular test case is dependent on some other test case and that second test case is failing, then there is no sense of uh, calling first test case, right? So that kind of testing is not possible. I mean, based on or depending upon a pass or fail of a particular test case, you cannot take decision in JUnit, but you can take decision in TestNG. So that's what the last thing means. So this is a small comparison between the two. Now we'll see all these things one by one, that how you can do annotation testing in TestNG, how you do exception testing, ignoring of test case, or timeout, or these parameterization, grouping, and dependency testing. We'll see all these things one by one in TestNG. So these were few of the features which are different. There are certain more things which makes TestNG better than JUnit. One of them is their reporting format. This TestNG provides us a detailed report in HTML format and in XML format. So this is one of the reason why this became famous. also that because of its report availability in these two format. Actually earlier it used to give CSV also, but CSV is not there, so I have to update this article. It is only HTML and XML. Then yeah, so then also one more thing why it has become famous is that um, this TestNG also provides us something known as TestNG.xml files, and your test cases can be controlled even without touching your test case. I mean, JUnit, you have to go and check your test case and enable or disable it. But in case of TestNG, you don't even have to touch your test cases. You don't have to touch your Java code at all. We have something known as XML files. Through XML files only, we can control all the execution of test cases. So that's what also will be learning in this session. Any questions till now? Okay, so next topic is how to install TestNG. JUnit by default comes with Eclipse, but TestNG you have to explicitly install. So I'll tell you how to do that. Okay, so for TestNG, go to Windows, no, Help, and then there is an option of Install New Software. Select that. Whatever I'm telling, that is written in the next article, so you can go through this article, and screenshot are also added. Okay, so don't worry about how to install, and if you can do it along with me, that also fine. So this page will open when you click on install new software. Here there is an option of this add button. Click on it, then here give the name of the topic. So we are installing TestNG. I'll give TestNG here. Then here you have to give from where you need to install it. So the path is beust.com slash Eclipse. This is a marketplace for TestNG. It's a marketplace where TestNG is available, and it's available for free of cost. When you click on OK, it will search for that TestNG for you and will show you here. So after, I mean, sometime it will start showing you here as TestNG. It's searching for now. Yeah, here you can see it has searched for the TestNG. Now if you expand it, it will also show you if there is a latest version available. So here you can see I have selected show only the latest version of available softwares. For me, an older version of this TestNG is already installed, as it takes some time, so I'll not do it now. Otherwise, you can select all of them or just select the first one, because we need the first one. But if you want, you can select all the three and click on next multiple times, and your this TestNG will get installed on your Eclipse. It takes some time, that's why I'm not installing it, because I have already an older version of it that is also working fine. So yeah, once your Eclipse gets TestNG or TestNG gets installed successfully, you have to restart your Eclipse. Just close the Eclipse window and open it again. Once you restart your Eclipse also, then you are ready to start with it. Now how to verify whether Eclipse is installed successfully or not? Okay, so for that, I'll create a new package in your project. Let's say I'll call it, which day is today? Day 16. So I'll say day 16. And in this I'll create one, go to others, and here just search for TestNG. Okay, if you get this TestNG class, that means TestNG is installed successfully on your system. Select this one, click on next, give it a name, give any name to it. Say for example, testing class 1. Okay, just any name, and don't select anything from here because I want to explain all these annotations one by one, and click on finish. Okay, as soon as you click finish, it will create a template for you. Okay, few might get this error which I am getting, and few of you might not get this error. So if you are not getting this error, then everything is fine. But if you are getting this error, then what you have to do, just hover over this add test, and then there will be an option of add TestNG library. Click on that. It will import one TestNG library in your reference libraries. You can see another package, another folder is added with name TestNG, and you'll see some of the jar files are added. So this problem comes with only few people, not all will get. I'm not sure why this is there, but if you're getting this error, just hover over at test and select add TestNG. So this will import the jar file which we just installed through help section. We installed this TestNG, so from there these jar files are coming. Now we are good to start with TestNG. So any questions till now? Okay, so it's as simple as creating a normal class. You can see here it's just a normal class, nothing special. So yes, you can create a normal class as well. No need of creating a TestNG class. Just to show you how that my TestNG is installed, uh, I showed you this way. Otherwise, you can simply create a normal test class. Now here, let's start with the first annotation. Now, what is an annotation? So let me open next article. Okay, so next article we have is annotations in TestNG. So what is an annotation? Let's first understand that. Annotations are the keywords written before a method to provide a special meaning to that method. So for example, add test is an annotation which is written before a method, and that method is considered as a test case. So here, when I'll write add test and I'll press Control space bar, you will see you're getting options, multiple options. You're getting one from org.JUnit and you're getting from org.testng. You have to take the second one, that is one from testng.annotations. Select that, and the method you'll write after it, any method with any argument, any return type, anything, any method you'll write here will be considered as a test case. So let's say I'll write one test case and I'm naming it test case 1. Currently I'll just write test case 1. Okay, so what does this annotation means? Annotation is a keyword written along with at symbol before a method, and as you add any annotation with a test case with any method, that method is considered as a test case. Okay, like this you can have multiple test cases in a class. So here I'll have 4 test cases. I'll just randomly give them some number. Let's say here I'm saying test case 4, test case 2, here I'll say test case 2, this will be test case 3, and here will be test case 3. So you can see that I've given 3 or 4 test cases. Okay, some random order I've given, and these are considered as 4 test cases. So when I'll execute this particular class, so how to do that? Right click, run as TestNG test. Just one more observation here. Earlier before this, whichever class I executed, every class used to had one main method. Remember? But here in TestNG, you don't need any main method. This add test annotation is enough to execute your test case or execute your test method. Okay, so just remember this, that in when you're using any testing framework, be it JUnit or be it TestNG, you don't need to use you don't need to define any main method. Your execution will start with this add test symbol as well. Okay, so I'll just execute my code. So to execute, it will be right click, run as testng test. So just remember its shortcut, it is alt shift X and then N. Okay, so yeah, this is the shortcut. Now I'll execute it. Okay, so execution happened, and you can see some kind of report is coming. First, you can see that console is there in which all the 4 test cases are executed. So here we called 4 test cases, test case 1, test case 4, 2, 3, and all those 4 test cases executed. If you look at the order of execution, it is not the same which you give in the class file. That means there is some other order. So we'll discuss about what is the order. And here also you can see all the test cases are passed because we have not given any criteria to fail. So by default all test cases are passed. Here also shows you test runs of 4 test cases executed, none was failure, none was skipped. And yeah, so this is a small report which you get on console. I'll close the console now. There is one more report which comes, that is this report. This report is something which is derived from JUnit. Here if you look at, there is a suit, in that there is a test, and in that there is a class in which 4 test cases are executing. By default, the name of the suit and test is default suit and default test. Going forward, we'll learn how to change this suit name and how to change this test name. And in the test, there is a class called day16.testClass1 in which 4 test cases were there which got executed. As all of them are passed, so they have a green tick. If any one of them will fail, they'll have a cross on it. Okay. And if any one of them fails, then there you'll have a yellow cross on it. So red cross means failed, yellow cross means skipped, and this green tick means green check is means it's passed. As all the test cases are passed, here you can see that the overall status is also passed here. It's overall green. Okay, if you click on any of the test case, it will also take you to that particular test case. Here if you see, if I double click on it, it will take me to test case 3. If any of the test case will fail, its failure exception will get print in the right section here. Currently I don't have any failure scenario, so all of them are pass and all of them are showing green here. So we'll see how to fill this. I mean, once will fail our test case. So this is one more report which you get. So we have seen 2 reports, one in console, second is this report. Okay, here it also shows you failed test cases. It also shows you the summary in tabular format. So 3 formats of report, and one more format you will get, and that is the reason why TestNG also became famous. That is the HTML format. For that, first time you have to right click on your project and refresh. Once you right click and refresh your project, you will see another folder is added with name test-output. This is something which is created by TestNG. So here if you expand that, you will see that report, it has many things in it. One of them is emailable report. So right click on this emailable report and open with web browser. When you open it with web browser, you will see a report in HTML format. So here you can see we have got a report. So look at here, the name of this suit, default suit is the name. Default test is the test in which we have executed 4 test cases. None of them was kept, none of them was failed, all of them were passed. It also shows you in how much time all those 4 test cases executed. So here you can see it has executed in 278 milliseconds, and then what each test case took. This is the time, 39 for this, 4 and rest of the time maybe for initialization and all. Okay, if any one of the test case will fail, if some exception will occur, that will be visible in one of the step here. Okay, so this is a brief introduction to different reports we have. Any questions here? Okay, so there are 3 formats of report, one in console, second in the second one which I showed you, which comes as a again as a console here, and third one is HTML report. There is one more report which is in XML format. So XML format is this testng result.xml. So if you open it, you will find a report here as well. So you can see that a test is created with name default test, suit is created with name default suit. It took 278 milliseconds to execute. This was the time when it executed. This was the time when it started. This was the time when it finished. and also it gives you the status of each test case, whether it's pass or fail. Okay, going forward in our project, we'll see certain utilities available in market. What they do is they take these XML files and create a wonderful report out of it. Okay, currently the report which you see in HTML format, that was not a good looking report. It was just a report, right? If I open this, right click, open with web browser, it's a simple report, not a beautiful one, right? So there are certain utilities available in market which provides you a good looking report. So that's what we'll learn later on, that will extract this XML file and get that report. Okay, so there are many utilities available. Let's see which one suits us, and we'll see any one of them. Okay, so any questions till now? Okay, so moving ahead to the next one. Next one we have is in the same. I explained you different formats of a report. Let's see what was the order of execution. So if you see here, the order of execution you see is I gave a test case, the order in which I created test cases were 1, 4, 2, 3. But the order in which execution happened was 1, 2, 3, 4. That means the execution is always a alphabetic order. So remember, by default, execution in TestNG is alphabetic order. Okay, then comes the point, can I change the order? Yes, you can change the order by putting an attribute known as priority. So there is a attribute known as priority. You can add that. So priority equal to, uh, you have to give integer values to this priority, and the value will be always be integer values. The more you go towards negative, higher is the priority. So here you can see I can also give priority as -1, and here I'll give a priority as 2. So 0, 1, -1, 2. This is the priority which is assigned. Okay, yeah. And Susie, you have a question. Why test case 1 execution taken 39 seconds compared? Because in the initial it consider the other time of loading and calling XML files and all. There is a process which happens in TestNG as well. So some of the time spends in that also. So first test case will always take more time. Okay, so here you can see now the order which I have given is according to the priority. As I told you, the more you go towards negative or the left of number line, higher is the priority. So here you can see highest priority will be with test case 2, then it will be with test case 1, then it will be with test case 4, and then it will be 3. So 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3. Okay, so I'll execute this. Okay, sorry, Shift Alt X and then N. Okay, so you can see 2143. Okay, now Nishta, you have a question on what basis priority will be assigned. The order in which you want to execute your test case, that should be the priority. Okay, so if let's say you want just consider any example we have seen till now. Just consider the Guru 99 website. In your Guru 99 website, what you do first, you invoke a browser, then you log in, and then you add a customer. uh, okay, you have a question. No, you have given uh, priority is -2. Okay, so you're saying what number should I give? That's what you're saying. Okay, so that I'll come. That is my next question actually to you all. Okay, so you can give any number to any test case. Like here, I gave 0 to this test case 1. I gave 0. test case 4 I gave 1, test case 2 I gave -1, test case 3 I gave 2. You can give any number, the order in which you want. Okay, but it depends on one more thing, like just consider. Okay, let me ask that question. See, here I've given the number priority as 1, 4, 2, 3. Sorry, 0, 1, -1, 2. Now just consider that I got one more test case, and that test case was something which I have to insert, or the priority of that test case is something in between this 1 and 2. I mean test case 4 and test case 3. I want to insert test case 5 in between these two. What you'll do? One way will be that you will change the priority. You'll keep it 1, then you will change its priority to 3. You'll add another test case with priority 2, and then all other priority will also change, right? Or there is a better way of doing that, and that is start with 0, and the next priority you give, instead of 1, give it 100. Okay, then instead of 2, give it 200. So what will you achieve using this? It will be like 0, then 100. In fact, you can make this -1 to -100. So it will be like -100, then 0, then 100, then 200. Okay. If you don't want to start with negative value, don't do it. Just change it to, let's say, 400 or 300. So this is the priority I have given. Start with 0, 0, 100, 200, 300, then 400, 500. If there comes a test case which lies between the two, say for example, the one which lies between test case 4 and test case 3, now you can give that test case 2, test case 5 as priority is equal to 50. And 50, oh sorry, 150. 150 lies between 100 and 200, so you can insert that. Okay, so any number is fine, whatever suits you. What I personally do is this in my project. We assign the priority like this: 100, 200, or in fact you can change it to 1000, 2000, 3000 and all. Now if you have to insert anything in between, you can do that very easily, right? So this is what we do. Any questions, any query here? Did I answer your question, Nishta? Okay, so Shubhanshu have a question. If we don't give the priority, what is the default priority? So if you check the XML reports, you can see here, okay, here we have assigned the priority. So let me just remove the priority of any one test case. Let me execute it. Okay, a test case execution happened. Now I'll open the latest XML file. So here you can see the priority is updated. So the one where you have not given any priority, that will be 0. Okay, so just remember that the one which does not have any priority will always be 0. And if there are two test cases with 0 priority, then the one with alphabetic order first will get executed. Okay, so here you can see test case 1 and test case 4, which comes first in alphabetic order 1. So this get executed. So this you can check in XML file what priority your test case is getting, and according to that it will execute. Okay, any other questions here? Okay, so moving on to the next one. Next we have is enabling disabling a test case. Sometime what happens is you want one of your test case to be disabled. Say for example, you don't want this test case 4 to be executed. Okay, so there is a parameter, there is an attribute which you can pass, and that is enabled equal to false. If you pass this value, your test case will not execute. So by default, all test cases are enabled. Uh, so here you can see test case 4 was not executed, but it will not come in script as well because it will not be considered at all. So it is not skipping a test case, it is enabling or disabling a test case. Okay, clear? Any questions here? Okay, moving ahead with the next one. So this is a simple enable disabled. By default it's false. Sorry, by default it's true. If you specifically add it and make it false, it will be false. If you make it true, that will also make it enabled. So you can execute that. So here you can see test case 4 was also executed. Okay, so this is priority is done. Enabling disabling a test case is done. Let me see what else I have. Okay, so installation is done. Annotation, I just gave you one annotation. I'll show you other also. Priority we are done. It's not skipping actually, it should be enable disable. So let's talk about other annotations first. Okay, so we started with annotations in TestNG, and um, we discussed that there is at test annotation which is considered as a test case. Now annotations in TestNG can control the order of execution. There are many at before and at after annotations which can be executed before and after certain points respectively. So these other annotations which I'm going to explain now, like before test, after test, before method, after method, and so on. There is a long list if I talk about which all are those annotations. So these are the annotations. Test, at test, this is the starting one which is considered as a test case. Then we have before method, after method. Then we have before class, after class. Then we have before group, after group, before test, after test, before suit, after suit. So these are few annotations which are available which controls the order of execution in TestNG. Okay, so we'll talk about them one by one. Let's start with the first one. Okay, so here you can see that I have created 4 test case 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if there is something which you want to execute before every test case and after every test case, that you can add with a method called at before method. Okay, so I'm putting slash t. Slash t is for giving a tab space equal to tab just to make it visually clear. I'm just putting these 2 tabs, and before this test case I'll put 3 tabs. Just for representation purpose I'm doing this. I'll show you in once I'll execute this. Okay, so these are 4 test cases we have written, and I've written one method called before method. What does this method do? This method before method, it will be executed before every test case, and then there is one more, that is after method. And after a method, it will be executed after every method. Now what you put before a method and after a method, something which you want as a part of you can say that, let's say before executing any test case I want to do some configuration things, and after that I want to do some cleanup things. So that I can add in before method and I can add in after method. Okay, so some kind of configuration you want to read before a test case, then you'll do in before method. Some kind of some kind of cleanup or tear down operation you want to do, that you can do in after method. Okay, Nishta, you have a question. What is the purpose of enables equal to true? I could not listen. Okay, so enabled equal to true or false. It has two values, true and false. It's a Boolean variable. This attribute enable or disable your test case. If you keep it true, that means this test case will execute. If you keep it false, that means that test case will not be considered or will not be executed at all. Okay, so currently you can see that it is true. So when I execute it, so here you can see that test case 4 is executed. So if I'll change it to false, it will not be executed. So here you can see we added this before method and after method. So before a method, then a test case, then okay, I need to change uh, this to after a method. So here you can see I've done before a method, then a test case, then after a method, again a before a method, test case, after a method. Okay, so that is what you can achieve through before method annotation and at after annotation. Any questions till now? Okay, then next annotation we have is before a class and after a class. So I'll add one annotation known as before class. So you have to take one from org testng.annotations because it is available in JUnit as well. So here it will be public void before a class. So here I'll simply say system.out.println before a class. Okay, or instead of before a class, I'll say first method in a class. Okay, and then I'll copy it, and here I'll create another method after a class where I'll add annotation after class. So what does this? Sorry, I added the one from JUnit. You have to take one from TestNG. So what I'll do, uh, one quick way is change this to star. Now you will not get any error, any confusion. Okay, so see, if I have not put this star, if I have disabled it, see, and if I remove all these three, you will start getting error in all this. But if I enable it, you can see in org.testng.annotations, whichever class is there, all will be considered. Okay, so here you can see all are considered, no error. So you can do this thing also, so that going forward you don't miss any or add some incorrect annotation like I did. I added JUnit instead of TestNG. Okay, so now I'll not make any mistake, right? So yeah, so here I'm adding after class. Here I'll change it to last method. So I guess now everybody understand what does this mean. This before a class method will be executed as the first method whenever this class loads. That means whenever any method from this class called TestNG class, testing class 1 will be executed, whatever method executed, before that first method will be execution will be this, then it will execute before a method, and then it will execute a test case, and then it will execute after a method. Once everything is executed, then at the last it will execute this last method. This is how it works. So in this class where you are writing this, before executing any method of this class, this method will be executed. So if I execute this, you will see that first method to execute is the first one to get execute. Then we have a before a method, then we have a test case, then we have after a method, then all these test cases, and at the last method to be executed. Okay, so consider Guru 99 website. In that, invoking a browser and closing a browser is something which you can add in the first method and in the last method. Okay, then you can add login, then a test case, then log out, again login, second test case, log out. Just example, not necessary you'll do this like this. Maybe you can club invoking a browser and logging in as the first method, and then executing all other test cases, then log out and closing the browser at the as the last. So that depends on what your requirement is and what your use case is. Clear? Any questions till now? Okay, so moving ahead with the next scenario. Next scenario is next annotation. Let me see. So we have discussed at test, we discussed before test, after test, then we have before class, after class. Then the remaining ones cannot be discussed now. For that, we need to learn first XML files. So next topic I'll start will be XML files, and then we'll come back here. But if you have to see what actually the order is, this is the exact order. First of all, before suit is executed, then before test executes, then before class executes, then if a group is there, before a group, then before a method, then a test case, then after a method, then all these test cases, and then after a group, after a class, after a test, and then last after a suit. So this is the exact order. Remember it. This is something which is asked in interviews a lot. That what is the order of execution of annotations? So the order of execution of annotations is this: suit, test, class, group, method, before a method, then a test case, all the test cases, then same order in reverse. Clear? Okay, fine. So moving ahead with next one. Yeah, so the next topic is I'll be giving you an introduction to TestNG.xml file. Okay, so how to get that uh, and what is an XML file. So as I told you in the start that the execution you can either control through these classes which you have. So here you can see we have classes you can control through here, or you can also create XML files, and through XML file also you can control the execution. I'll show you how. Uh, First of all, when you are doing it for the first time, when you're creating this XML file for the first time, what you have to do is just write any one class file and execute it. Okay, maybe an empty class with an add test annotation, and execute it. Once you execute it, you will see that this test output folder is created, right? Now in this test output folder, there is one XML file, one HTML file known as index.html. Okay, so right click on this index.html and open with web browser. Once you open it with web browser, here there is a list of XML files. Click on this one, the first one. What does this first one means? This first one is the XML file which actually executes. TestNG executes this. If you're not giving any XML file, then TestNG creates its own default XML file with some default parameters. Like when I'm doing right click run as TestNG test, that time actually it created one XML file which had that name of that class. Here you can see that class is there. Okay, now if you want your own, just copy it. Okay, come out, create one folder. Let's say I'm naming it TestNG test cases. Okay, in this, right click, new file, give it any name. Say for example, class execution .xml. Remember to put the XML extension. Okay, and copy paste that file. Remove unwanted things. Okay, here I don't need this juice stage. I don't know what it is, so I'll just remove it. Verbose, I don't know what it is, so I'll just remove. Yeah, so this is your default file. I'll just remove this as well. This is the default file. Save it with you. Now all the changes will do inside this. Okay, so here first thing is suit. You need to give the name of the suit. So as I told you, the hierarchy is always starts with a suit. Inside that suit we have test, inside that we have class, right? So here this is the hierarchy. In a class you can have one suit. In a suit you can have multiple tests. Suit can be, let's say I'm naming it as QA Tech Hub suit, test suit. Any name you can give, any relevant name. Maybe you have a feature one, so you can name it as feature one test suit. If you have sanity suit, name it as sanity 2 suit. Okay, so inside that there is a test. Tests are nothing but test runs, where inside this you'll tell which all test cases to execute. Like here I'm saying class test execution. You can give any name to it. Let's say I'm naming class test execution. Inside this class, inside this test, you can add as many classes as you want. Like you will just write classes, press enter, it will add starting and closing tag. Okay, and from where it is giving you suggestions, it is giving you suggestions because we have inserted one system statement in it. The statement is this doc type suit system and the path of testng.org and then something. Okay, so this is one path from where it is taking these test cases. Okay, this is the path from where it is taking these test cases, sorry, these annotations or these tags. If you'll remove it, nothing will happen, no error will come, but yeah, suggestions will not come. So I added this classes, and then inside this I'll say class, give the name of the class, and when you're giving the name of the class you have to give the complete name. Complete name means the package name dot the name of the class. Like the one I want to execute is this TestNG class 1.java. So you have to give the name, complete hierarchy. Skip src, start with the first package, so it will be day 16. Let's say there is one more package, then put dot, give the name of the second package, dot, give the name of the third package, dot, name of the class. So it will, for me it is only one package, so I'll give the name here testing class 1. Okay, day 16 dot testing class 1. No need to put dot java. This is what you have to insert. You give here, and then when you'll execute, now the execution will not happen from here. Execution will happen from XML files. How? Right click on the class name, XML file, run as, where is run as? Yeah, run as testng suit. And remember the shortcut is, it is Alt Shift X and then a G. So here you can see Now the execution happened. Look at the name of the files, things which are generating. So here we are not getting default suite anymore. We're getting QA test suite. Then class test execution. Then name of the class and which all test cases got executed. Same thing will happen everywhere, like in your where is your test output folder. In this also, the immutable report which you'll open now, here you can see it has changed the name from default suite to QA test suite, QA test suite, class test execution, and it was passed class test execution. Clear? Any questions till now? So this is the introduction to XML files. There are many things we need to learn here. Okay. Susie, you have a question. We can as well convert TestNG class, right, for TestNG.xml. I didn't get you. What your question is?
So we have a convert to TestNG, right? We have an option instead of directly writing the XML, we can directly convert the classes, right?
Um, might be provided with this from where we can do. Do you know?
Come to TestNG, down, scroll down.
Okay,
No,
TestNG.
yeah, TestNG, convert to TestNG. Yeah, this will give you XML file.
Yeah, fine. You can do this as well, right? I was not aware of this.
Oh,
So yeah, one way is this also. Good. Thank you.
okay.
So you can give the name of the file. Yeah, fine. Name of the XML file and yeah. So this is another way. Yeah, very simple way. But anyways, we need to learn this XML. So we'll learn it. Here you can see this is the XML file which is created. Same thing which I just mentioned. You can change the name of this suite, name of the test, and then this. Okay. Okay. Any other questions here? Okay. So this is one thing. We'll continue with here. With other things like how to instead of like here you are adding a class, you can add multiple classes as well. You can add a package. There are many things to learn in this XML files. We'll learn one by one. Okay, so for now let's have a break for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and then we'll continue with the same thing. Okay, so I'll just put 7 minute timer. Okay, so see you after 7 minutes and then we'll continue from here. Okay, so let's continue with other topics. Any questions before I proceed? Okay, so we saw that in here I created a test. Inside that I created one class. I added one class. So you can add multiple classes as well. Like here I create another class, uh, testing class 2. Okay, so for example here we create two test cases at test case 1. Here I'll simply add uh, execution from test class 2. uh, test case 1 execution from class 2. Here I can say test case 2, and okay, so I added three more test cases. When I'll add here, you can simply add class, and here it will be day 16 dot testing class 2. So here I've given the name testing class 2. I'll save it. Guys, just give me a second. I'm getting a call. Okay, so here you can see I added two classes. So this is also a way you can call multiple classes from a single XML file. Okay, so if I execute it, right clicks, run as TestNG suite. So here you can see both the classes, test case class 1 and test case class 2, both got executed. The order in which you'll give here, the same order will be executed here. Okay, so any questions here? So here you can see total number of test cases executed are 7. None of them is failed, none of them is skipped. So this is how it will show. Okay, so this is one thing. Next we have is in the same XML, we can, I'll just copy it, paste it here, and this time I'm saying package execution. So what you can do is you can directly execute all the classes of a package. Like here you have package execution. In this, a suit is there, a test is there. I'll change it to package test execution. We'll remove all the classes and instead we'll add packages here, and inside package you can simply add a package and give the name. So I'll give day 16. So by default, whichever classes will be there inside that, all will get executed. So right click, run as TestNG suite. You'll see in that day 16 package, there are two classes, testing class 1 and testing class 2, both get executed. All the methods from both the classes are executed. So this is an example of package execution, like directly you execute through packages. Clear? Any questions, any doubt? Okay, so this is package execution. Next, what is left? So assigning priority is done, enabling disabling a test case is done, assertion we need to learn, introduction to TestNG is done, executing all the test files of a package done, executing test cases from multiple packages is also done. Okay, so next is we have grouping test case, parameterization, data provider, parallel execution, and assertion. So these are few things which are there. So let's start with integrating this TestNG with Selenium. Till now we just learned different things. Like I learned how to create a test case, how to execute them. Okay, and everywhere all the test cases were passed. Right. So let's integrate Selenium and TestNG now. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll create a new class and this time I'll name it Guru99 project. Okay. And let's create this Guru99 project what we did earlier with Selenium now. Oh, sorry, with TestNG now. Earlier we were writing just methods and then we were calling them from main method. Let's create test cases of each method of Guru99. Okay. So let's do one thing. First of all, I'll create a before class. Okay, you know before class is the method which is executed as the first method. So I'll name that method as invoke browser. So this will be the first method which will be executed, and last method I'll put as after class. And what we'll put here? Public void close browser. So this is my last method. Sorry, invoke browser is the first method, close browser is the last method. Okay, let's create an instance of Chrome driver class. So it will be Chrome driver, and here we'll say driver equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, and before that we need to set the system path as well. So that I'll just take from any one of the class. Okay, so invoke the browser. Let's do all the configurations like driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Then next will be driver dot manage dot what is that, page load timeout, and before that delete all cookies. Then driver dot manage dot timeouts dot page load timeout. Let's say I'll give it as 60 seconds. Okay, we need to give the implicit wait also. Implicit wait. Let's say I give implicit wait as 10 seconds and done. Okay, after implicit wait, let me navigate to the website. So it will be get and URL I'll define here. www.demo.guru99.com/v4. Okay, so URL will navigate. So invoke browser is done and we have kept it as before class. So this will be the first method to be executed. Then in the after class, I'll just close my browsers where I'll say driver dot quit. Okay, and in between we'll write our methods. So first method will write, first test will write as public void login. This is my first test case I'm writing. Okay, in login we'll also take URL, so uh, that we'll see later. So after invoking browser, let me open Guru 99. Okay, so we are here. Now we need to login, write the method to login, right? So here I'll say driver dot find element by dot, what is we have name. So if you recall, here we have name. This has a name is UID, and what is the value of it? Send keys, and the value I'll put is, yeah, these are the values. Okay, next is driver dot find element by dot name, and the name is btn login. And what do you want to do with it? You want to click on it. So this btn login is for this login button. So I just remember actually it's btn login, and what you want to do with it is click on it. So I just clicked on it. Okay, and here I'll say priority equal to, as it's the first one, I'll give it a priority as 0. So if something which will come before it, I'll give it a negative priority. If something which will come after it, I'll give it 100, 200, and so on. Okay, so this is my first test case. And here uh, now one very important point, that whenever you are writing any test case, it must have at least one assert statement. Now, what is an assert statement? Assert statement is something which will give a verdict whether your test case is pass or fail. Like if I log in inside this, if I log in inside this, you will see that I am inside. Now, what will verify that this login is successful? There can be a scenario that I do these things, I do these 3 steps, but I was not able to log in. Maybe username and password is wrong. Then what will verify that you have actually logged in? Okay, so the verification will happen. Can you think of looking at this page? What can verify that I'm successfully logged in? Sorry, uh, you can check the URL. Okay, so this may happen. Okay, okay. So what happens is URL you can verify. Uh, it it navigates to this, but what if something else is wrong, or the title is you can verify the title also, but that is also something which is coming different. What is one thing which ensures that you have logged in successfully? If you see here, I'm getting this manager ID. Okay, though the spelling of manager is wrong, but if I get this manager ID and if I compares with the one I'm logging in, if both are same, I mean if this ID and what you get here, if both are same, that ensures that I'm successfully logged in it. Okay, this is one assertion. You can put URL as second assertion, you can put your title as third assertion. Okay, but if what I observe is that these two things are not required if I verify this, because this will only come once I log in successfully. Okay, so yeah, there can be many other ways also to verify, but I feel that this is the best possible thing to verify for now. So I'll just write my code in such a way that after logging in, I'll verify whether this is coming or not. Okay, so how can you verify? So I'll just get it, see what it is. It is inside some table, and I can write its XPath with this. Okay, so just recall last class, we saw one way, that is, let's say double slash td. So you can see that is also under one td. I'll say td which contains what? A text. And what is the associated text with it? Text is this. Okay, this is text. My bad. Here it is comma instead of equal. Yeah. So you can see it selected that. So what we are doing, we are searching for a TD which contains this. If we get this, okay, here what I'll write after clicking, I'll say string uh, uh, manager ID from page. Let's say I'm saying this. It will be driver dot get text or driver dot find element by dot what is it, xpath, and the value of xpath is, I've just copied it. Okay, from here call get text. Okay, so you'll get some text from here. That text will be assigned to this variable manager ID from page, and then here we'll put an assertion. Earlier we were always printing them, right? Now I'll put a proper assertion. So how will you put assertion? I'll say there is a class called assert. You have to take one from org.testng. It will be available from multiple locations. You have to take one from org.testng. Okay, assert dot, and then there are many assert statements. Here at this particular situation, I want to compare my manager ID from page to the actual manager ID, right? So there is one assert statement called assert equals. You can see it was an overloaded method. If you look at the method, it was an overloaded method with, see, two boolean arguments or two byte arguments or two character arguments, similarly two objects. So lots of overloaded methods are there. So you can compare any two things, okay, any two similar things. Here I want to compare two strings. So first one is actual. Actual is something which you know, so I'll put this as actual, and expected is something which you're taking from your page. So here is my expected. So if expected and actual are equal, are matching, are same, then your test case will be passed, else your test case will be fail. Okay, so one more thing, when you'll get the text from it, once you'll get the text from it, you will get this complete term, manager ID colon this. That, but this is something which we are not expecting, right? We are expecting, we are matching this complete thing. One way is either append that, I mean append this term, like here if I append it, either do this thing, or there is another way which I'll just show you after this. So let's execute this. Any questions till now before I proceed? So is this clear? What is this assert? Assert is a class provided by TestNG which has many assert statements in it. Assert equal, assert same, assert uh, compare. I mean there are many things to compare. I'll show you all those assert statement. So one of them is equals. What it do is it compares with the expected and actual. Okay, so this is actual, this is what it should be, and this is what you're getting. So if I execute this test case, right click, run as TestNG test. Okay, so you will see that Chrome browser is started. Okay, and you can see that it has logged in. But has it thrown some exception? Why after class was not executed? Okay, I guess no. I'm not sure why after class was not executed. We'll see. But here you can see test cases pass. The comparison happened between the two, and then this execution happened. What is your question, Nishta? I didn't get you. You're saying no need to put the compare result anywhere from the assert statement. I didn't get you. What is your query?
I'm asking as you have written this statement for comparing, right?
Yeah, comparing the actual and expected. Yes.
Yes, yes. Let's suppose it get failed.
Mm-hmm.
So nowhere to put the result from there.
I didn't get you. Suppose it fails. So let's say
Yes,
my expected was this, and I'm getting
yes,
2422. So it will fail, right?
yes,
So
yes.
so what?
So how will we get it?
Yeah,
How
I'll
will
show
we
you.
know that it has
I,
get failed?
I'll show you. I'll show you. I was about to come to that. Okay, so let's
Okay.
so we have seen the positive scenario where it was passing. Now let's see when it fails what happens. So I'll execute the same code again. This time I'm deliberately failing it by passing uh, incorrect ID. So let's see what happens. Not sure why after class is not executing. Uh, okay, this is the reason. I have passed after class from JUnit instead of TestNG. So okay. So yeah, so now if you'll see, this test case must have failed. So let me open the report again. So here if I open the report, you'll see the test case has failed, right? If I double click on it, it is showing me which test case is failing. Now let's look at this. See, this test case is failed. Here failed scenario is 1, passed is 0, and here it also shows you what has failed. Failure is this. My expectation was that I will get uh, okay, I guess I'm doing it wrong. My bad. I was writing other way around. It is actual and this is expected. Let me run it again. So now you will see after executing the code, it will close the browser also. Yeah, here you can see it has closed the browser also. Why? Because we added that statement of closing in after test, and by mistake I added JUnit. That was it. That's why it was not. So here you can see expected was this 102443, but found to be this. So my expectation was something else, and I found something else. That's why my test cases fail. My expectation was this, and I found this. So this is 102224442. This is what I'm getting, right? So that's how it will show you once your scenario will fail here. See, one scenario is failed, the complete bar is changed to red. Here is the failure exception. If you'll check the report in emailable report, if I open it, here also you will see this test case has failed and it will show you the complete red. wherever it has failed, it will give you the exception as well. So here you can see the exception was assert error. That means your assertion has failed. And what does that assertion say is assertion is this, that expected was something, but I got something else. Clear? Any questions, any doubt here? So you need to do these things, like you need to add uh, as many assertions as possible in your test case. If with one single assertion your test case ensures to be pass or fail, that's also fine. Clear? Any questions, any doubt? Okay, so yeah, like this, there could have been one more test case here. Like before even login, I could have compared the when I'm here on this page, I can simply compare the title of the page, get the title of the page and compare. So I can add a test case before it, add test. I can say public void verify title before login. Okay, so when you're writing a test case, its name should be clear enough to understand what you're doing. Like here, I'm verifying the title before login, right? So I got to know. Now here, uh, expected title, let's say is, what is it? Guru 99 homepage. So I'll say Guru 99 space bank homepage. This is my expected, right? And here I'll say driver. Uh, I'll create one more variable, actual title equal to driver dot get title. Okay, and then I'll put an assert statement, assert dot assert equals, you're comparing actual title with expected title. Okay, and you need to give it a priority. So priority will be, give it some negative value. So maybe priority, sorry, priority should be minus, let's say 100. So this will execute first and then this will execute. So if I execute it now, will it see there will be two test case execution. So you can see execution happened and there were two test cases which were executed. One was failed, one was pass. Here you can see the report. This is pass, this is fail. Even if one fails, this complete bar will turn red. If all are passed, then it will be green. Okay, whatever fails, you'll get its exception here. This, no, here you'll get. Okay, when you'll check its HTML report, emailable report, if you'll check, right click, open with browser. Here also you will see half red, half green. Clear? Any questions, any doubt, any query? Okay, fine. So next is there is one more topic which we can cover now. So here you can see the Guru 99 project. When I'm writing this method login, these values I'm keeping as hard-coded. What if I don't want them to be hard-coded and I want to pass them through arguments? Okay, so this is known as parameterization. That means you want to parameterize your test case or your method. So here I'll say string email ID, okay, and string password. Okay, so we'll change this value to email ID and we'll change this value to password. Okay, and here when we are doing a comparison, then also I'll add here uh, email ID, or username, whatever you want to call it. So let's call it username. Right click, refactor, rename user ID, I'll say. Okay, so yeah, now if I execute this test case directly, as this login method takes two parameters, it will not execute. See what will happen. Because we are not passing any argument, if I execute this test case, you will see let it get execute. You'll see some exception occurred and your test case was failed, and here it is saying cannot inject at test annotation login because we were not able to pass two string values to it. Okay, so this is the exception we got. Parameter type, some parameter type related exception came. Okay, so why this happened? Because I was not passing any string arguments to them. So how can you pass string arguments to a method which is in TestNG? Because here there is no main method. We are not calling these methods from anywhere. So in this situation, you will pass parameters through testng.xml. There is something known as parameterization, which we in the starting we discussed that testng is something which can be parameterized. So that is something which we'll learn now. So in my XML file, I'll copy one of the XML file, right click, copy, we'll paste it here, and here I'll name it parameterization. Okay, in this parameterization.xml file, I'll keep only one, and the name I'll keep as day16.guru99 project, right? So it will be day16.guru99 project. So this is the class which I'm running. Now for this particular class, we need to add some parameters. So it will be like parameter. This is the tag name. Give the name, any name you can give, email, or maybe manager ID or user ID, whatever name you want to give. It is not necessary that it should match there. Okay, so if I take out that value, this was the value, so I'll put this value here, copy it again, or let me add again. Name will be password. Okay, so we are passing manager ID, we are passing password. Manager ID is this, password is this. We're passing it in this class. Okay, so when we are executing this, you need to tell which parameter to use where. Okay, so in my Guru 99 project, here we will give that information. So there is an annotation known as parameters. Okay, then you will give the name of the parameters. So in the curly braces, give the name. So first one was manager ID. So here you will give manager ID. Sorry, comma, then password. So password was password only. Okay, so what will happen? The order in which you will give, like in add parameters annotation, the first one is manager ID, so it will be mapped with this one. Second one will be mapped with this one. So that's why I was saying these two can have different name. Order is important. So if you here, if we have two parameters, if you're passing to these two parameters, so two parameters here, number should match and order should match. Okay, so now manager ID will be mapped with this user ID, password will be mapped with this password, and the execution will happen from here, not from class file. So you need to execute this parameterization.xml. So it will be right click, run as TestNG suite. Okay, what happened? Oh, okay, my bad. This has to be added in. Okay, so they has to be added at test level instead of class level. Right click, run as TestNG suite. So you can see now it has started execution. So the parameters which you're defining, they should be defined at test level instead of class level. So here you can see both the test cases were executed and both are passed. And if you'll check the report, in report you will see it shows you for which parameter this login test was executed. So whatever parameter you will pass, it will show you. Okay, any questions, any doubt? Now somebody might ask this question because it's very frequently asked question. What if I want to test it with multiple parameters? Yes, that is in our agenda. We'll learn in some time. I mean, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so almost 60% of TestNG is done, and I don't want to cover other topics. I want you to revise all these so that tomorrow, I mean, we can learn other things tomorrow, otherwise it will be too much for today. So we are done with introduction to TestNG and a comparison with JUnit. We installed TestNG. Annotations and attributes are also done. Few of the attributes are left, which we'll see tomorrow. Few of the annotations are left, which we'll see tomorrow. Assigning priority we did. Skipping a test case, skipping is not there actually, it's enabling, disabling, so that's done. Assertion, one of the assertion we saw. Rest of them I'll show you tomorrow. TestNG we saw, executing packages we saw, executing test cases from multiple classes we saw, multiple grouping test case we'll see tomorrow. Parameterization we did. Data provider is one thing, and parallel execution is again will be done once we'll cover this data provider. Okay, so 1, 2, and 3 assertion, and fourth is rest of the annotation. So these are few topics which are left, which we'll cover tomorrow. Okay, so that's all for today. If you have any query, any anything, do let me know. I can we can discuss one to one also. Okay, so I'm just stopping the recording now.